Hello. Well, I'm Anna Fernandez of Legal Lotus, and today we have Elina Santana, who is going to be answering some of the questions that you guys have submitted regarding family and immigration. So, hi, Elina.
Hi, Anna. Good to see you.
So good to see you. Thank you so much for taking the time and answering some questions for us.
I'm happy to help.
Yeah, and Elina, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself before we start?
Sure. So I'm an immigration attorney, but I specifically focus my practice on marriage and family-based residency and everything related to family petitions. So basically, I help binational families who found love across borders live in the U.S. together.
Awesome. So you're the person to answer these questions because they're all marriage related. And well, the first one would be, if a non-US citizen marries a US citizen and they submit an application, it's under the family-based visa, but somewhere in between the marriage kind of falls apart and there's a divorce, does that affect this application?
So sometimes the way it works is that when you're first applying for residency or, the green card as it used to be known, or adjustment of status, which is another way to call it. When you're first applying, you do need to still be married at the time that you go to the interview and that you get approved. So to get your initial card, yes. Now, after that, you often have to do something called remove conditions because your first green card is given to you conditionally for 2 years. At that point, immigration doesn't care as much if you've gotten divorced and separated, but you just have to prove the marriage was real while it lasted. That's all they're looking for, that it wasn't fraud.
So it's okay if you have a divorce, but you don't want to be like in the limbo state.
It's really hard when people are in the limbo stage for their conditional residency part. And the reason it's hard is because immigration requires the signature of both spouses on the forms if you're not divorced. So you're either married and filing together or you're divorced, but there's no option for separated. So in other words, as long as you're cooperating with your soon-to-be ex-spouse and they're willing to sign, that's okay. I've had lots of cases where we've submitted it and even said, hey, we're separated. We were real while we lasted. We're not together anymore. We're getting divorced. And that's okay. Both people can sign that. And that is a legitimate basis to request the removal of conditions. But if you have uncooperative spouses, there's some fighting going on, something nasty's going on in the divorce, a lot of people have trouble getting that signature. And that's where the real problem comes in.
Gotcha. So let's say in a perfect world, they get divorced, they go to the interview, or they're able to, or they're now in the process of removing these conditions. Is it often or is it common for the ex-spouse to be called into an interview after the fact, after the divorce?
So no, it is very common that there is an interview. As a matter of fact, it is more common that there be an interview if you're divorced when you file that application, because immigration officers want to look you in the face and they want to talk to you about what happened and they want to make sure that you're not pulling the wool over their eyes. But they don't require the ex-spouse to come. So usually only the immigrant spouse has to go, as long as the divorce is final. If the divorce is not final and things are just pending, then both people have to go to an interview if called.
What if one party doesn't go because, for whatever reason, they're in the middle of the divorce and they're like, screw you, I don't feel like going? I mean,
So
does that
it
happen?
has happened to me, and I am lucky enough to say I've had some approved even with that situation, but it's not advisable because immigration can say that they've abandoned the application and they can deny it just because you abandoned it by not showing up. Now, if that happens, we can always refile it once the divorce is final and we can try again. And we do usually have good luck with that when that is the situation, because they really don't want to deny you based on a spouse being difficult. If they're going to deny you, they want to do it on legitimate grounds. But Anna, I've had couples go who are in terrible fights, and I've had luck because I've had the conversation sometimes. Like, I'll tell them, call your soon to be ex right now, let's talk to them. And I'll be like, look, this is your application too. Like, you're both on the hook for this being a real marriage. There are real fines and civil penalties for the US citizen if they find this to be a fraudulent marriage. And so oftentimes we can convince the spouse to go. And I've even had clients go and have a fight in front of the officer. And frankly, I don't care. The officer just cares that they were real. And to me, if they're fighting in front of the officer, what more real can it get,
Right. That's awesome. So is this the type of thing that you would recommend someone to go by themselves, or would you recommend someone to definitely go with a lawyer?
Yeah, this is definitely something you don't want to do by yourself. Can you? Yes, you can, but it's not recommended. It can be really complex. Sometimes you're arguing what the law is versus what the officer feels. Like the officer might feel like denying you if you're no longer together, but the law says that they have to approve you if you can show that the marriage was real while it lasted. So it gets a little more technical than sometimes the original applications do. I would highly advise that anybody doing this find themselves an attorney.
And this is something that you can help others
Yeah,
with.
of course. I'm happy to help. There's lots of amazing immigration attorneys in South Florida, but nevertheless, it is something I do all the time, every week, and I'm always happy to help as well.
And can you tell us where to find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So our direct phone number to the office is 305-916-4800, or you can Google me, Elina, Elina, last name Santana, Santana, like the musician, and I will pop right up.
Yeah, I'll be sure to include your information in the comment section below. So, Alina, thank you so much for taking the time and for answering some of our questions. Hopefully, we can do a round two because I'm sure we're going to have some more questions piling in. Um,
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Alina.
Thank you, Anna. Have a great day.
Bye, everyone.